Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the August 18th Audit and Finance Standing Committee meeting. It is currently 10:02, and I would like to call this meeting to order. As is standard with the virtual meetings that we've had over the past year and a half, I'd like to go through and just do an AV check with all of the councillors and various other people in the meeting. So let's start with Councillor Daigle-Gammon in District 1. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and fellow colleagues and staff.
Good morning. And Councillor Hensby, District 2.
Good morning, and a beautiful blue skies over Nova Scotia today.
Very well put. Thank you. Councillor Purdy, District 4.
Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here and looking forward to our meeting.
Absolutely. Thank you. Councillor Cleary, District 9.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning. And Councillor Morse, District 10.
Good morning. Happy to be with you on this morning after the water on the beans have changed.
There we go. Thank you. And Mayor Mike Savage, good morning.
Morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good to see everybody this morning. It's been quite a while since I saw you last.
It has been. Yes, absolutely. And Jerry Blackwood, our CFO, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of Audit and Finance.
Great. So that is the AV check. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of July 21st, 2021.
Sir.
Thank you, Councillor Hensby. Do I have a seconder for the minutes?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Daigle-Gammon. Any errors or omissions? Okay, all in favor of the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Great, thank you. The minutes pass. We have an order of business. So could I have a motion for the approval of the order of business and approval of additions and deletions?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Daigle-Gammon.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Purdy. Thank you. Over to the clerk. Are there any changes today?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The clerk's office did not receive any requests for additions or deletions for today's agenda.
Okay, thank you. And is there anything from any members of the committee? Okay, thank you. All in favor of the order of business, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? Great, thank you. We have an order of business. Business arising out of the minutes is none. Call for declaration of conflict of interest. Okay, thank you. Seeing none. Motions of reconsideration is none. Motions of rescission is none. Consideration of deferred business is none. Notices of tabled matters is none. Correspondence, over to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The clerk's office did not receive any correspondence for today's meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. And are there any petitions? Okay, not seeing any. And presentations, there are none. Information items brought forward are none. There is no Auditor General's report today. And so we are on to item 12.2.1, an increase to project CB000042 Woodside Ferry Terminal updates. And I believe we have a presentation on this. And we can see that now.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, John. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm John McPherson. I'm Acting Executive Director of Corporate and Customer Services, and I'm presenting today on the Woodside Ferry Terminal Increase 2 project. So very pleased to be able to present on this project this morning. Next slide, please. A bit of background on the facility. It was built in 1986, so about 35 years old facility. You can see from the photo there on the right hand side, it gives an idea of the vintage of the building. So minor improvements over the years. In 2014, this project was originally considered to be more of a cosmetic project, but as we got into it, realized that we should invest deeper into the project. So multi-year plan was developed in 2018 to address the various needs, including things like passenger flow, energy efficiency, and state of good repair. Next slide, please. Some funding history on this account. So as mentioned, in 2018, we started scoping out the project. At that point, we had an estimated budget of 7.6 million. As we got further into the design and scoping and the needs, you can see over 2019 and up to 2021, it increased from up to 9 million and 9.98 million. And that was all done through the capital budgeting process and approved by council. So at the moment, we have a total account funding of 9.98 million. Next slide, please. So the key building improvements, we replaced the elevator with 2 new high capacity elevators. 4 new escalators and stairs were installed. And I'll just mention previously in the building, there was only one elevator that switched directions depending on peak flow, and a long staircase. And you can see again the picture on the right, quite a substantial installation to pull out the infrastructure. And
I think you meant to say one escalator, not one elevator that had reverse flow.
Thank you for that correction. That's absolutely correct. I misspoke there. The other improvements are universal washrooms, various interior finishes to improve customer experience, energy efficiency upgrades to help get to our Halifax targets, and new exterior cladding, new glazing, new roofing system for to maintain the building in a state of good repair and improve energy and durability. Next slide, please. A little bit on the funding increase details. So what we're requesting in this report is to increase the account by 200,000. And the funding source that we've identified for that is funding that was remaining in the Halifax Ferry Terminal account, which is no longer required. So we are requesting to free that up and apply it to this project. The current increases that are driving this are additional CN flagging. As you can see in the picture, there's a fair bit of work that occurs over the tracks. So in that photo, there's a zoom boom there, which is suspending contractors over the tracks. Whenever we work within a certain distance of the CN rail, we need to have CN provide flagging services, and that's a safety measure to ensure protection of the CN infrastructure and to ensure that contractors are out of the way, clear and safe if there happens to be a train approaching. The other driver is we ran into some unknown site conditions on the building structure. Although we did a fair bit of destructive investigation prior to this project happening, there were still some unknowns which differed from the original building drawings. So unfortunately, we can't open up every wall on a project unless we do a full interior demolition first. And in this case, that didn't make sense in a operating transit facility. Next slide, please. So the risks of additional funding needs coming after this request, we still have a few months of construction remaining. The interiors should be substantially complete by October, and the exterior should be substantially complete by November. So we still have a few months of construction, 2 to 3 months. So in an existing aging facility, there's always the risk of unknown site conditions. Having said that, we have exposed pretty much everything to expose. So the additional risk is we may see further flagging costs or consulting costs to get through the remainder of the project, although we feel that there's a good contingency there remaining at the moment. I'd also like to flag a future phase 3 project. This would be presented in future capital budget processes for consideration. So it's not something that is committed to at the moment, but it is something that we would like to see in the upcoming years to finish off the project, and that includes adding an emergency generator, landscaping, and some reconfiguration at the building entry. And I believe that wraps up the presentation.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if you want me to put the motion on the floor, then we can have a debate.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Councillor Hensby, and
It's
thank you very
moved that
much.
the audit
Thank you very much for that presentation, John. I appreciate the background of it. Go ahead, Councillor Hensby.
You're welcome.
It is moved that the Audit and Finance Standing Committee recommend that Halifax Regional Council, 1, approve a transfer $200,000 net HST included from the project account CB000039 Halifax Ferry Terminal, and 2, approve an increase of a multi-year funding for the project CB000042 Woodside Ferry Terminal upgrades by $200,000 net HST included in the fiscal year 2021-22, and 3, approve the increase of $60,000 net HST included to PO 2070847216 for CN Rail permit fees and flagging services from project number CB000042 Woodside Ferry Terminal upgrades as outlined in the financial implications section of this report.
Thank you, Councillor Hensby. Do we have a seconder for that motion?
Second, Councillor Cleary.
Thank you, Councillor Cleary. Go ahead, Councillor Hensby. Do you have anything on that?
Just a few things. Yes, this is much needed work that needs to be done. I remember when that facility first opened by the great Roland Thornhill at the time, back in the days when they had the offshore monies and they wanted to make sure they had capacity across the harbor. And this is going to be one of those busy, hopefully busy spots for all the industrial activity that's supposed to have happened in the Woodside Industrial Park area, but it didn't materialize to the great degree that it has. But since that time, it's become very popular in transit use. There's a couple things I was wondering about, is that the positioning of this particular building and then some of its attributes. I'm surprised we don't have solar panels all over the roof of it. You know, it's a great study location, great opportunity to make probably a net energy facility, net zero facility. I was hoping for solar panel installations. Second, the inside foyer, walking in and then down through that terminal site, it's a perfect spot for some large public art mobiles or something, some kind of artistic impression as a facility such as that. And third, I'll keep pushing. We need to put dog carrier racks in all of our ferry terminals so people can bring their dogs onto the ferry and carry them across in a carrier. There's an opportunity for us to do a demonstration project by putting in racks and dog carriers availability at our 3 terminals. So those are things that I want to put back on the table for future consideration as this project unfolds.
Okay, thank you. John, do you have responses to those questions? There we are. We can see you now.
Thank you. Yes, great. Mr. Chair, through you to the councillor. In regards to the solar panels, I'll look into that. If they're not included, I'm sure they're in the list for for future energy work. Foyer public art. We can certainly speak to our folks in the public art group and look at that. For the question on dog racks, I would have to put that to my colleagues in transit if there's somebody there that can speak to that.
Yeah, it's Dave Espeseth, Acting Supervisor of Service Design and Projects.
Hi, Dave. We cannot see you.
Yeah, my video is not working at the moment, so I'm gonna. I can continue in audio, and I'll try and work on the video.
Okay.
Just to jump in on the solar panels and the public art ones, those were something we looked at, including in the scope, but due to budget constraints, we weren't able to fit it in at the time. So I think it was something we'd be looking at in a future project. And the dog carrier racks, I think, is something that would be a larger transit operational piece to be looked at more on a more holistic level than just the one site. So
I appreciate that, because I think that a lot of people like to walk the boardwalks on both sides of the harbor and having that connectivity to the ferry. Right now, the only way to get your dog across, you got to walk across the bridge, and that's pathetic. And unless you have it in a carrier, the only time they're allowed on the ferries if it's a working service dog or in its own carrier. But we have to provide those things for our clientele, because not everyone is carrying a carrier with them down the boardwalks of Halifax or Dartmouth or Woodside. So I think it would be a good added service. I'm pretty sure there are some pet carrying companies out there who would probably love to partner with us on a demonstration project.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Hensby. Councillor Cleary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, Councillor Hensby, you're nothing if not consistent. There are certainly pros and cons to having dogs, non-service dogs on transit. So, you know, this ferry terminal has been around for a while. And when I was teaching at the community college, waterfront campus, now Ivany campus, and certainly when I ride my bike over to the Spicer building, I'll ride down to the ferry terminal, carry my bike down the stairs, get on and do the reverse. So, you know, I've been in and out of this ferry terminal for 15 years. And the fact that we're, you know, making these major investments in our transit system, especially our ferries, which are part of really our rapid transit. And as we, you know, connect Bedford now by ferry, as we get our dedicated transit lanes done, you know, we're moving many more people and we're doing it consistently. In fact, when I was teaching at the community college, this Woodside ferry only ran mornings and afternoons. It wasn't an all-day service. And so depending on when my classes were, I might have to go a bit early or stay a bit longer than I wanted to, just because there was no other way to get out. And so incrementally, we're providing more and more services to our residents, and this upgrade and the overrun here, given the scope of the work and what's necessary to be done, is extremely important. And so happy to support this. In the grand scheme of things, this is relatively small investment considering the issues that have been uncovered. And it's funny, when I was reading this was so familiar. I was like, wait, didn't we already do this? Because I remember reading these exact same issues, but I guess, and maybe Mr. McPherson can just confirm this, when I saw these earlier, staff were going to be taking these out of another fund, if I'm correct. And now because of the size of it, you're taking it out of this different fund. But really, this has already come to us once before, very recently, if I recall, correct?
Mr. Chair, through you to the councillor. Yes, we were at council a short while ago with a request for additional flagging fees. So as the job progresses and the construction unfolds, we take our best estimate as to what those fees are going to be for CN. And in this case, it turned out to be longer than anticipated. And one further comment to your note on the bicycles. We are improving bike flow through the facility. in terms of the two large elevators, and there's a bike rail along the stairwell to improve that.
Which is great, because when I had, there are certain elevators in the city, if you're a cyclist, where you're going up and down, where sometimes you have to actually stand your bike up because the elevator is so small. So hearing that we're actually improving that for cyclists is awesome. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much. I don't see any further questions in the chat the first time. So Councillor Hensby, go ahead on your second time.
Just one other question. I read in the report in regards to some of the delay in delivery of the cladding and stuff. Supply chain matters one thing, but I was kind of wondering, do we have any recourse of trying to recoup some of our extra flagging costs because of the delay of shipping of the cladding supply?
Mr. Chair, through you to the councillor, thanks for that question. In this case, the cladding is the result of COVID delays or COVID issues, sorry. Staff have worked very closely with the contractor to make sure that the work is progressing as efficiently as possible so that we can minimize these flagging fees. But at this point, we don't feel that that's chargeable back to the contractor.
Okay. Councillor Hensby, does that resolve that?
Sure. I'm just kind of wondering, are there any other COVID claims we can make to the other levels of government? Could this be one of those additional cost plus benefit issues?
Mr. Chair, through you to the councillor, that's something we can take away, and when we see those opportunities, we can consider that for putting forward.
Okay. Thank you very much, John, for that. I don't see any further questions in the chat at all. So all those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Great. Thank you very much. The next items on the agenda are fairly straightforward. We have nothing from the grants committee. Committee members, we have nothing from that. We have no motions. We have no in-camera session. We have no added items. Notices of motion. Not seeing any. There is a public participation section, but there were no registered speakers for public participation. And just as a reminder, in order to be able to speak in public participation, the deadline was 4:30 p.m. on the business day prior to this meeting. The date of our next meeting is September 15th, 2021. And I look forward to seeing everyone there. And at this point, could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cleary. And we have a note for myself and the vice chair in the chat. So thank you very much, everybody. And we will see you on September 15th. Have a great day.